just pretty brief testimony of a girl that we met about 5 years ago. And I've been in this ministry, this pro-life ministry, whatever you would call it, for probably about 6 years now, and have seen a lot of different scenarios pan out. We've seen some really miraculous, beautiful things. We've also seen some really hard things. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But this is just a really special story that I love to share anytime I get a chance. We met Sky a little over 5 years ago. A group of us were at the abortion clinic on Saturday, like we often were, holding signs, praying, and hoping for an opportunity to talk to a woman going in. Sky and her best friend had pulled into the parking lot a few minutes before, but had not yet gone inside the clinic. A girl that was there ministering with us that day began sharing her testimony through the fence that separated them of the abortion she had had at this same clinic only a few years prior. She spoke of the pain and regret she had dealt with ever since, and how she longed for no other woman to ever go through what she had. Sky had made her way just inches from the clinic door when suddenly she stopped and turned towards us. Sky came around the corner and passed the white line on the clinic driveway that we were not allowed to cross and approached us. A small group of us began talking with her and sharing hope and truth when she noticed the t-shirt that my mom was wearing. It was from our vacation Bible school the previous year, and the theme printed on it said, "Sky, all things are possible with God." With tears in her eyes, she told us, "I prayed this morning before going to the abortion clinic that God would give me a sign. This is my sign." That day, we were able to visit with her, love on her, and encourage her. We also took her next door to the Pregnancy Resource Center to get a free ultrasound of her growing baby. A few minutes later, as she exited the building, she was glowing. Her best friend told us that Sky had been extremely depressed leading up to her appointment and had barely been able to function or get out of bed. But after Sky chose to save her baby, they grabbed their older kids and headed to Wild River Country. She later told us, although the circumstances causing her to consider abortion had not changed, after our encounter and encouragement, her burden lifted and her whole outlook had changed. We stayed in contact with Sky throughout her pregnancy and threw her a baby shower a few months later. And a few weeks after that, we got to go to the hospital to meet and hold the precious baby that was saved that day, which is the baby you're looking at right behind me. We still keep in contact now through social media, and Sky and her best friends have come down to be in church with us a few times. I ran into Sky in Little Rock a few weeks ago, and it was the first time I have seen her in a couple of years. I spotted her from across the store and called out her name as I approached to greet her. Before I made it to Sky, I was stopped by her little 5-year-old son, who I still remembered as that tiny, precious newborn baby I held 5 years before. He intercepted me before I made it to his mom and gave me the biggest grin and equally big hug. This little boy doesn't know me, and he surely doesn't remember me. He is clearly just an outgoing and affectionate child. But it was so special to see God's goodness and faithfulness on display through this joyful child that lights up every room that he's in. This child's life was not saved that day at the abortion clinic because of any miraculous or amazing thing that we did. But his life was saved because the church showed up and acted in faith and obedience, and God honored it.